If you manage a course in a modern learning environment, you know that extracting actionable insights from Moodle requires a massive volume of manual clicks. Checking a single student's progress means opening the gradebook, applying a filter, waiting for the page to load, and then cross-referencing that data with an enrollment roster. It is a rigid, tab-heavy process. The question we are looking at today is whether securely connecting an AI agent to an LMS genuinely buys back those administrative hours, or if it just introduces a brittle layer of technical complexity. To test this, we are evaluating the Moodle Model Context Protocol, or MCP, built by Vinkius. An MCP acts as a managed infrastructure bridge. It takes an AI agent you already use, like Claude, Cursor, or ChatGPT, and wires it directly into external systems. This specific server equips your AI with 10 distinct tools, allowing it to read and interact with live Moodle data. Instead of clicking through a database, you prompt your agent in plain English, and it executes the exact API calls needed to retrieve your data. It turns your LMS into a conversational command center. Let's compare an end-of-week grade audit. Manually, you navigate menus, export the gradebook, download it, and run pivot tables to isolate missing assignments. On the MCP side, you write one prompt asking the AI to pull enrolled users and check course completion. The agent handles the cross-referencing in the background and hands you a clean text list of every student who has fallen behind. But there are constraints here. Large classes generate massive JSON payloads, which means your AI's processing power is entirely bottlenecked by its context window limit. Additionally, asking an agent to check completion statuses for hundreds of students at once fires off rapid, complex API queries. This can hit your Moodle instance limits and cause performance lag. You retrieve the data exponentially faster, but you trade the predictable reliability of a user interface for the memory constraints of an AI model. Once you have your list of students, the next step in the workflow is direct intervention and outreach. You instruct your AI to use the Send Message tool to reach out to the students it just identified as falling behind. The agent drafts the reminders and dispatches them immediately. The entire automated outreach happens within the chat interface, bypassing the Moodle directory entirely. The major trade-off here is surrendering the visual context of the native Moodle interface. You aren't seeing the student's profile or double-checking an email address before hitting send. You are relying entirely on the operational trust that the AI has perfectly mapped the internal user IDs from the previous step before dispatching communications. Sacrificing visual confirmation for raw speed requires a high degree of confidence in your prompting. Running these tools requires a connection hosted and managed by Vinkius Cloud. It operates as a zero-code setup. You generate a token on the Vinkius dashboard and paste it into a client like Claude Desktop or Cursor. When Moodle data travels through the Vinkius Cloud node, a data loss prevention protocol masks personally identifiable information before it reaches the language model. Each API call is also executed within an isolated V8 sandbox, adding a rigid layer of code execution security. To get this secure, frictionless connection, you have to subscribe to the Vinkius paid ecosystem. However, the subscription cost isn't the real barrier. The most critical operational hurdle is Moodle's native permission structure. To activate this integration, an administrator has to log in to Moodle's site administration, enable web services, turn on the REST protocol, and generate an API token. Most frontline instructors and teaching assistants simply do not have the high-level administrative rights required to generate those tokens. The AI connection is seamless, but it sits behind a strict IT gateway that immediately disqualifies many educators from using it. The Moodle MCP is a high-powered multiplier. It allows you to execute complex database queries using simple, plain English requests. The ideal users are department coordinators, academic admins, and edtech developers processing high volumes of student data who already have API rights. If you spend more than 2 hours a week clicking through Moodle to generate compliance reports and student rosters, the subscription ROI is immediate. On the other hand, if you are an individual instructor or TA who lacks token generation rights from your IT department, this tool is a poor fit. Institutions with strict on-premise-only data requirements also cannot adopt this. Despite the DLP safeguards, the workflow relies on routing data through a third-party cloud. The Moodle MCP is highly effective at reclaiming time and automating manual checks, but it only works with the administrative clearance to unlock the gate.